Welcome back to the Show My Scars podcast. I'm your host, Derek Duker. Today I want to talk about the public perception of those who are currently experiencing homelessness. In an NBC report in 2023, 63% of workers said if they had a $500 emergency, they wouldn't be able to afford it. I am in the same boat as those respondents. I would be on the streets if my mom didn't let me move in when my rent was raised to an unaffordable amount. So I'm always disappointed in the way that some people view, treat, and speak about those currently experiencing homelessness. Think about it. There are so many ways that you could have an unexpected $500 bill. Nearly 1 out of 5 respondents to that earlier survey I mentioned said that they would have to use a credit card to afford that bill. Due to interest, say it's around 20%, that could be another $100 in interest due the very next month. With so many of us living dangerously close to being homeless ourselves, it shocks me how we've allowed ourselves to believe that someone on the streets is somehow lesser than us. We tell ourselves they're only there because they do drugs, because they want to live off the quote-unquote system. We don't realize how much added stress comes with not having a home puts on a human and how that can reshape our entire perspective. So I've brought in Mandie Hicks, the front desk assistant from the Connecting Grounds, a homeless resource center here in Springfield, Missouri. Mandie and I discuss her own history with homelessness, how looking down on or even ignoring those who are currently homeless affects both parties, and how small acts can make a great difference. Here's our conversation now. While we were getting ready, we were talking about how you kind of came to the Connecting Grounds, and I think it's an incredible story. Well, we can kind of go back over that, but...
Sure. Well, I'd been on and off the streets for the last 10 years. So I guess we should start there. So homelessness was nothing new to me. And I felt like every time I'd get a chance that something fell through, something fell through. Or it was very temporary. I never had a place for more than a year, probably, in that 10-year span. So anyhow, fast forward to May of last year, and my boyfriend was very good friends with Christy Love, and he asked her to give me a chance. Said, she's on the street. She doesn't have a way out. She doesn't have family. There's no other opportunities for her. Please give her a chance. And so she did, and I've been here ever since.
Wow. And for those that don't know, Christy Love is the one that started the
Yes.
Connecting Grounds. So did you meet her prior to him kind of reaching out and telling her?
I did. Yeah, I knew who she was, and I'd had several conversations with her before, and that's one of the reasons he kind of had to really give her a chance, because she didn't feel like at first that I would take it seriously. Having seen me on the streets and having, just heard me talk, it didn't seem very hopeful that I was going to be a good candidate. So through that begging and pleading and her just having that good, kind heart and everybody deserves a chance, said, okay.
What you said there kind of caught my ear a little bit. You talked about like hearing you while you were in the streets. I'm imagining that's kind of the maybe self-defeating talk or something like that. Is that what you're referring to?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I was also an addict. And that, that mentality of fine, well, this is where I'm at. I'm never going to quit doing dope. I'm never going to have a place of my own again. I'm never going to do these things. Once you start that backslide and you see how easily everything crumbles, well, how in the world am I going to get out of it? I couldn't keep myself from being homeless in the first place. What are the chances that I could get out of it? Right. And they seem really slim, and they are, unfortunately, for a lot of people. A lot of people end up for their life on the streets. Yeah. And that's incredibly sad. So like I said, I was very fortunate, one of the few who got this opportunity. Otherwise I would still be out there, I believe. Yeah. How hard is it to accept that hope and try to make those changes? Because I feel like it can, I just know myself, I've struggled with depression. Yeah. When I feel like I'm making positive change, there's almost that itch, like the
the change is almost
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah, well, and you're kind of waiting for that shoe to drop. Like,
Yeah.
I've had things go well for me before, but it never lasts long. So, and that was a very pervasive thought for me in the
Yeah.
beginning. It got a lot better, and as time's gone on, now I feel comfortable. I feel safe because I know I'm doing the right things. I know that they're going to help me do those right things. Um, and this time, I actually have a real opportunity of being off the streets and staying that way.
What are some things that you do to fend off those thoughts?
Well, the first thing I did is I went and got myself some psychiatric help, and that was huge. It's very difficult to take your medication and to stay on that schedule, or not get your meds stolen. Even I hate to say that it wasn't an option, but it really wasn't a feasible option on the street having that kind of help. So that's one of the first things I did is I went and I made sure that I had appointments with a counselor and a psychologist or and a psychiatrist, and I've been taking my meds as scheduled, and that has done a huge, huge amount of good for me.
That's great to hear. What makes it a little bit harder when you're on the streets to get those things?
Well, first of all, if you're lucky if you have a phone, so
Mm.
even setting the appointment in the first place, transportation to and from, and then once you do have that medication, which most of us out there really, really struggle with that. Things getting stolen from homeless people by other homeless people is unfortunately a situation that is it's huge. It happens all the time, and so being able to keep the medication in a safe place is just about impossible.
One of the things that I've wondered is, especially in the Springfield area, what do you think gets people to look down on another person who's simply struggling with something in their life?
Well, it's really easy. That there's that song Everlast by is it Everlast? Then you really might know what it's like.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
I think that is
So
Everlast.
Everlast, okay, it is. Anyhow, he talks about the man dirty dread with hair in his face is dirty, dreadlocked, and full of mange. And it's really easy to see somebody like that and say, you know what, they gave up. They're not even trying,
Mm.
you know. And in some senses, that's probably very true. But unfortunately, it probably wasn't that man's mindset in the very beginning.
Right.
Um, so it's really easy to say, well, you're just not trying. Just go get a job. Just help yourself and do these things and get a place. And how?
If you are looking at another person in that way, do you think that there's any mental harm that they're doing to themselves by doing that?
Well, I think you're definitely shorting your opportunity to get to know a person. Really, if you want to be a good individual to other people, to help your brothers and sisters, yeah, you're robbing yourself of that opportunity. Absolutely. When you look at somebody and just say, "Ugh, they gave up. Never mind on them. Why? I'm not going to try. They didn't."
Yeah.
You know, that's really easy to say. And yeah, I do think they're robbing themselves of an opportunity.
How do you think that someone could challenge their own beliefs of what a homeless person might be?
Talk to somebody. Talk to somebody. There are many, many, many faces of homelessness. A lot of people, especially when I'm not on the street, did not believe that I was homeless and that I'd gone through these things. I'm fairly well spoken. I have a little bit of college on, under my belt, and I'm not your typical, quote unquote, typical homeless person. Just get to know somebody, get to know them. If you see that man at the liquor store begging for your change, like it says in that song, ask him what happened. Ask him how his day is. Maybe you're the only person that acknowledges him that day.
Yeah, that's something I think of so much. I saw a video of a YouTube channel I really like, but he was talking to a homeless person about like what is something that's very easy that someone could do for you that would change, if not your week, at least your day.
Yeah.
And he was like, look me in the eye and shake my hand
Yeah.
and say something, because I wonder a lot when I see people brazenly ignoring the person.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of understand, there's that guilt that you feel when you see that, but how damaging is that when you're on the street? Like what
Oh,
is that like?
very, very. It dehumanizes you. When a person can't even have the courtesy to, like you said, look you in the eye, or acknowledge your existence, even just to have a good day as they're passing by. It doesn't have to be any great effort, by
Yeah.
any means. When you've got no one who's doing that, and you've got consistently people who are purposely ignoring your existence, It's very dehumanizing.
If I'm trying to put another person down for something that they're doing, it doesn't even have to be being homeless, anything that they can't change about themselves, but to I've noticed it limits myself,
Yeah.
and then I'm almost saying like I will never be that person. And then later I end up being pretty close to that. And I almost feel like that doubles the pain or
Yeah.
the damage that
It
can
humbles you,
do.
that's for sure. The repercussions are huge. Now we've got a whole society that believes that homeless people are lazy, that they're bad people, that they're all just drug addicted and don't want to do anything to better themselves. You've got a whole society that believes that buys into those misnomers about homeless folks. And then you've got a lot of people then because of that who don't want to help. Again, you can't bother to help yourself. Why am I going to bother to help? And it damages the entire society.
Yeah, because I feel like too in that instance when not only are you stopping helping others, but then I feel like you get to that point where you're not going to help yourself in that instance. You would almost blame yourself
Yeah.
and then feel like you're somehow damaged and can't get back out.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'll tell you, the worst thing was being homeless the second time I was homeless, because the first time, I had a place for a little while. I as a roommate, and then we lost that place. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it again. I'm going back out on the street again. How in the world did I lose this opportunity? And it wasn't my fault. The lease was up.
Yeah.
That's all there was to it. And so having that high of being off the street, oh yes, I did it, and then that even greater fall, like, no, I didn't. Now I failed myself again, and I know what it's like.
Mm.
I know what it's like, what I'm about to face. I know what I'm about to go through, and then the disappointment in yourself is huge.
This episode of the Show My Scars podcast is brought to you by Two Oddballs Creative. If you want to be a respected and preferred business in your neighborhood, and if you want to keep up a neighborhood worth doing business in, continuous community relations is a must. What a business brings to the city and the surrounding area is becoming more and more important to consumers, and they're using that as a factor in their purchasing decisions. Whether it's money or time that you put into the community, your work will benefit your business too. Plus, it just feels good to give back. If you need help with your community relations, you can trust the Oddballs. They have a team of PR rock stars, and they have past journalism experience. They can match you with a local nonprofit or cause that matches your organization's values. You can reach them at 2oddballs.com, that's the number 2, oddballs.com, or you can call them at 417-986-6332. What do you think is causing the resistance to change these perceptions that we've built up about who those people are that are on the streets?
And you've got too many loud voices who are again repeating those things, that they're lazy, that they're just drug addicts and alcoholics who don't want to help themselves. It's their fault. You've got too many loud voices that are saying that. And so when you have individuals like more on a grassroots level, I guess, going out and talking to people and finding out what their stories are, again, putting making them human again, making them feel that way. That's what we need. We need more people going out there and just, again, hearing stories. We need people who are uneducated about the situations to shut their mouths. We really do. And unfortunately, they're very loud mouths to shut.
Yeah. What is it like now that you're working here? What is it? I imagine it almost could shine a light on what we would feel like if we volunteered. What is it like
Yeah,
now that you work here?
it is. It feels really good. Not only am I doing something productive for myself, but I am helping people who were in the same situation I was in yesterday,
Mm,
and that feels good. I get to acknowledge these people. Hey, how's your day going? Just even while I type in their name, how are you doing?
yeah.
And it's that feels good. Those are the things that these folks need.
What are some locally here in Springfield? What are some things that we could easily do to reach out and help?
There's always donating your time to local food banks, donating your time in any place of any charitable organization, really. Making meals and delivering them to places that cater to homeless folks. That's always a good one. It doesn't have to be about money. It definitely doesn't have to be about money. Time is sometimes more valuable even than that dollar. Just research the community and find out where you can help. What kind of organizations are you interested in, and then you'll be able to find something.
What is something that really needs to change in the city of Springfield that maybe would be able to help more?
Sure, we need shelters. We
Mm.
need shelters and transitional type housing to where people are working on getting jobs and getting their lives together, but they've got a safe place to do it from. If you are trying to get a job, it's very difficult when you can't set an alarm, when you don't have a place to take a shower, and you have everything on your back that you own.
I've heard about this, housing first model, and I can't even begin to tell you. Just knowing that the moment that I knew that I had somewhere that I could go,
Yes.
the amount of stress that relieved, and then the way that opened my eyes to the possibilities that
Yeah.
I had to get back on my feet
Oh,
just
yeah.
suddenly started appearing because I wasn't so worried about where the next, where I was going to be able to shower next, where I was
Yeah.
like, how I was, especially having a child at the time, I was
Yeah.
worried I was going to lose her. And so that became my foremost focus, and I couldn't see beyond those trees.
Yeah.
What are the housing options around here? Because I way back in the day I did an interview with the Missouri Hotel, and now that that's not around,
There really aren't any.
oh
There
my
are no.
goodness.
There's the Veterans Welcome Home Center, which is kind of a day shelter. And then we have the cold weather shelters when it's below 32 degrees in the wintertime. But that's over and done with. And so I hate to say there's nothing, but there's really nothing out there.
What is the Eden Village I hear about so much?
Oh, that's a great little place.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're the tiny homes. No, there is a fee.
Oh, okay.
It's $3.25 a month, so you have to have some sort of an income or something, or be sponsored or what have you. But it's reasonable rent.
Yeah, yeah, especially.
three
Yeah.
325 a month. Yeah, that's a wonderful. But they really only are built for one person.
Mm.
But it's a little gated community, and the houses are so cute. They've got all the amenities you need. Refrigerator full size and nice bathroom and all those things. They come furnished. So Eden Village is a great little place.
Well, thank you so much for taking the
Yeah.
time to talk to me about this.